Hello, welcome to Namm 2018, Yamaha Synths on Facebook, live. I'm live here with a great musician, a great jazz pianist, Greg Spero. So I'm going to ask you a few questions, and then we're going to listen to, Greg play and do some cool stuff, and hopefully not break things. And so the main thing I want to ask you, I kind of know this because we did the interview about a year ago on YamahaSynth.com, but and I know you're a jazz player, and we kind of geeked out on that. But who are some of your big musical influences?
I would say my biggest musical influence is the living legend Herbie Hancock, because of the versatility and depth of his career. One of the things I'm passionate about is drawing from various influences in our current culture. And I think he's done that throughout every generation, something that he garnered from the influence of Miles. And I think Herbie is still the living forerunner in that regard. So he's one of my biggest influences.
Yeah, that's me too. I know what you feel. I mean, I just remember the first time I heard the Miles Quintet, and that music sounds so fresh and so new, like it did in 63, 64, 65. Nefertiti changed my life, man. I play all that record, so.
Dude, there was a time it was when I was in high school, every single night, I got this bootleg video of Miles. I think it was at the end of the life of that quartet, the 67, when they were way, way out. And it was a video, Herbie and Wayne and Miles and Ron and Tony, and I watched it every single night in its entirety. It's an hour-long video for like 6 months to try to understand what the heck was going on. And eventually, after listening to it enough, I was able to follow and be one with it. But the influence of that music on all those cats has played hugely into my style.
No, we share a really. I remember transcribing ESP solo and the fact that he does it that it's improv in the moment, and I feel you on all that.
Try Live at the Plugged Nickel, Herbie stuff on that. I did the If I Were a Bell solo on that, way early. Yeah.
So we're definitely on the same. So rather than just sit here and talk about Herbie the whole time, so I'm going to switch gears and talk a little about. I think it's cool when a jazz artist, because a lot of guys can't do this. A lot of guys can't kind of take a step back and just a true love of music play other styles. And you were with Halsey for, I guess, a few years there, weren't you? Yeah. So what was it? How was it? Being in the pop scene and playing with Halsey. The show on SNL. If you didn't see SNL a week ago, Greg was on there with CP4 and a MX and a Moog Sub 37, right? So anyway, but the fact that you can do that is really cool. So what was it like, kind of shifting gears and doing that?
Well, it was very different from me. The first. When I first joined, I didn't expect it to, nobody, you don't know that someone's going to blow up that big. So I didn't really go into it thinking this is going to be a 3-year endeavor. But it kept getting bigger and bigger. Our first show was to 80 people over at SIR in Los Angeles, and it kept growing and growing, and I kept learning more every step of the way from other producers, other pop producers. I had played on a bunch of hip-hop stuff, but I hadn't dived into the production to that level until the Halsey project, and it kept requiring more and more from me, and I kept learning around every corner until, you saw how our last tour was through every major arena in the US, and the learning that I've garnered about, first of all, pop music and what makes it connect to people in the way that it does, the sound design, the rhythm design, all of the very in-depth elements that it takes to make something great in the pop arena. It's been an incredible, wild learning experience for me. And now, I've gone on to produce. I'm producing some other artists as well now, and that's a space that's going to live in my heart for the entirety of my career.
Well, it's funny because I found, when I play, because I play a lot of jazz trio and solo stuff, but when I play pop and I do the pop thing, how much, I guess, the simplicity and the directness of the melody sort of informs your jazz playing, though. It comes back to you, and it helps. At least it helps my playing a lot.
I could actually. So, I do a lot of transcribing and a lot of breaking apart things and figuring out how things work. And throughout my studies in pop music, I've been comparing the melodies of these hit pop songs with the McCoy Tyner riffs.
Yes. Yeah.
And literally, if you pick apart the greatest rappers, and you compare the lines that their contour follows, and you put that against when McCoy like goes down to the most simple of his brilliant melodies, it's the same exact concept, and it all falls back to speech. It falls back to question and answer, like contour up and down. Like it's all the expressing the human experience through instruments or through voice in ways that, if you break them down to their fundamentals, it's all from the same root. The great pop songs have the same qualities of the great jazz songs.
That's, and if you get a chance, if you haven't seen the Nat King Cole documentary on Netflix, there's a lot of things about that, about his phrasing that made him so. But he was also a brilliant jazz pianist. So that's a really deep thing.
Well, but let me say that with a caveat. There's a lot that has been lost as far as melodic development goes, because the jazz standards are all based on incredible harmonic and melodic development, and a lot of that has been stripped away so that the clickbait generation can be able to access the melodies that are being portrayed. There's still brilliant melodies, just a lot of the complexity is stripped away.
Man, we could talk about this all day, but I got to move. I want to move on and just talk one brief thing about your I know that your time with Halsey is kind of coming to an end, and now you have this new chapter of really going after with your band Spirit Fingers, and my understanding, you said you had your album release is coming, and you have some promo going. You're going to tour, and I've heard your stuff online, and if you haven't seen the stuff, you need to check out Spirit Fingers online, because it's such a cool band, lots of cool polyrhythmic stuff, but the playing's amazing. You guys just sound so good. But can you tell me a little about the development of that?
Man, well, it's been in the making for 2 years. The compositions themselves were born out of my pushing against the simplicity of the pop music that I was playing on some of the first Halsey tours, because I would be playing this music night after night and then go back to the tour bus and try to write the craziest stuff that I could to like give my brain that exercise. And I didn't expect to play it at first, but then one of my good friends and a guitarist who I used to play with, Mark Kavanaugh, he's here somewhere, he was like, you got to take these compositions and make something from it. And like pushed me to do it and enabled me to do it. And throughout my tenure with Halsey, we've been doing this on the side. Now that I have decided to forego the coming tours so that I could stay in and focus on that, the thing has blown up, at least in a jazz sense. Like, Shanachie Records found us and brought us on board, and they're doing a ton of marketing to an album that we're going to release on March 16th. I'm so excited about how this album sounds, man. And like Relics is putting out our video in a couple weeks. I think I can say that publicly. I'm not sure. And then like some of our music is already being premiered on WBGO in New York. And people are latching onto it. It's going to be a really exciting journey in the coming months. Yeah,
well, I know March 16th is my son's birthday, but I know I'm buying the record when it comes out. It's really great, man. It's really a killer player. So now Montage. So I mean, what are some of your go-to sounds? What do you like about Montage? And then we'll maybe get some playing in here.
Well, the thing that made me fall in love with Montage in the first place was when I told them they have to get me one of these. It was this sound. Find it.
Yes, me too.
I think it's like halfway. Can I hear it? So this sound, I especially love it because some of my favorite records are the Keith Jarrett Trio records.
Yes, me too.
The Standards Live, and the technique that they used to develop the piano sound that they got out of that recording. They put these specific types of reverb that I feel like are mimicked the best in this sample, more so than I've ever heard before. So like when you could go on for a while, but that's one of my favorite sounds.
It's, you know, this is really weird because it's exactly the same thing I feel. In fact, almost I couldn't have said it better if I said it myself, because especially the Keith Jarrett trio thing, because that's my big go-to thing, and just and I felt the same way about those reverbs. The proximity effect that this does on there, it just nails what, and the expressiveness. I totally get it.
And then the Rhodes sound is like one of the richest I've ever heard. That sound is so vibrant. I use that actually in the Halsey shows. I would use that to do interludes in between different songs, and same with the piano sound, because like it's you can get the most emotional response out of that, out of any Rhodes patch that I've played.
See, this is I mean, this is if you know, I mean, a lot of people have seen my little product videos, and I always start, especially with the acoustic piano, and I'm just watching you play, and I watch how you're reacting to and I have the same thing. The first time I did a video, especially with CFX concert, I actually had to stop the camera and go, this is, because I had to kind of like catch my breath, because I was so blown away by the dynamic range.
I know, totally.
So soft. So you know, I think I just want to hear you play some more, and then we can kind of call it on this one. But cool. Yeah, whatever you want to play, if you want to use the vocoder or whatever, just play.
This is one of my favorites to mess with. Do you understand what I'm saying? You can? Cool. It's kind of cool to be that.
That's awesome. So if you see me on a video doing something like that, I will absolutely say, I learned this from Greg Spero. That's a good one. I like. You notice when he was playing and he was bringing in different parts on the sliders. So he's got 8 parts up there. You can see the screen. And so if you saw what he was doing, he was bringing each one in, and that's what. So, well, Greg, man, I really appreciate the conversation and the hang, and definitely Spirit Fingers. That album's coming out on the 16th. So make sure you pick it up, because you'll dig it. You really will. It's like jazz in a different way, so it's really cool. Yeah, jazz in a different way. So once again, hey, thanks a lot here at the Namm Show with Greg Spero. I'm Blake Angelos. Thanks a lot. Thanks for watching.
Thanks, Blake. Yeah.